couple of weeks ago, I posted a video where I covered 5 of my favorite potential second-year breakout wide receivers for 2021. But even though that video was a hit and everybody seemed to like it, I wasn't able to cover all of my favorite wide receivers that I think will break out in 2021, hence this video right here. And whether you play fantasy on ESPN Fantasy, CBS Fantasy Football, Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football, or any other fantasy football platform, these wide receivers are all likely to be drafted towards the end of your draft, if they're even drafted at all. So without further ado, here are 5 more potential breakout wide receivers for 2021. And let's start with Jalen Reagor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Reagor missed 6 games battling a thumb injury, and he also had to battle horrendous quarterback play from Carson Wentz. Because of that, he only managed 51 targets, 31 catches, 396 yards, and a whopping 1 touchdown in 11 games. But there's reason for optimism. First, the Eagles are badly lacking in pass catchers. Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson are on the downswings of their career, and stud tight end Zach Ertz is likely to leave in free agency during the 2021 offseason. That's going to leave a receiver group of Travis Fulgham, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Greg Ward, and Quez Watkins. Not exactly what you would call elite NFL talent. And sure, the Eagles could go out and sign a wide receiver in free agency or draft one of the top wide receivers in this year's draft class. But even if they do, Jalen Reagor is looking at worst as the number 2 option on a team that's likely going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. And if the Eagles decide that they've had enough with Carson Wentz, that will be an even bigger boost to Jalen Reagor's fantasy value in 2021. In the 3 full games he played with quarterback Jalen Hurts, he had 19 targets, 10 catches, and 125 yards. So essentially 30% of his season production came in the 3 full games that he played with Jalen Hurts. So moving on from Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts would be very nice for Jalen Reagor's fantasy value. So assuming he can stay healthy in 2021, and if he gets a quarterback upgrade, Jalen Reagor could be one of the best steals of the draft. He's going in the late round in pretty much every mock draft that I've done, and you should definitely be looking to grab him where you can. Next up is Darnell Mooney of the Chicago Bears. Now, Mooney wasn't a highly coveted draft prospect as he fell to the 5th round and the 173rd overall pick to the Bears. He far exceeded expectations in year 1, however, catching 61 passes for 631 yards and adding 4 touchdowns. And from week 3 on, he saw 5 or more targets in 12 of the 14 games played. But it was really after week 8 that he showed his true potential. That is when the Bears decided to finally put him in the starting lineup, and he didn't disappoint, catching 5 passes for 69 yards and a touchdown. And he didn't slow down much after that, racking up 40 catches, 395 yards, and 3 total touchdowns after week 8. But it was in the wild card game that he really showed what he could do with 11 catches for 93 yards. And best of all, he did all his work with a combination of Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. So whether the Bears upgrade their quarterback position in free agency or through the draft, or whether they're content rolling into 2021 with Trubisky and Nick Foles, it doesn't matter. Darnell Mooney has proved he can get it done regardless of his quarterback play. Let's also not forget stud wide receiver Allen Robinson is a free agent as we head into the 2021 offseason, and it doesn't seem likely he's going to return to the Bears. So if Robinson does indeed move on in free agency, Darnell Mooney's role is going to expand and his opportunities will as well, as the Bears are going to have to lean on him even more heading into next season. He went towards the end of the 9th round in our most recent mock draft, and in my opinion, that is an absolute steal for a guy with his upside. If he's there in your drafts, you absolutely have to take him. I'll be drafting him every chance I can at that point. Hey, before I get to the other 3 receivers I think are going to break out in 2021, if you're enjoying the video or finding it helpful at all, just take a quick second, hit that subscribe button, click that thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Now let's shift out to Indianapolis and talk about Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. missed some time early in the season with a calf injury, but once he got healthy, he showed why that hype was warranted. In the 10 games he played after his calf injury, he had 58 catches and 514 yards. That's a 16-game pace of 93 catches and 822 yards. Not too shabby. Now, there is reason not to be as high on him as the other 2 wide receivers I'm going to talk about, and that's because quarterback Phillip Rivers has retired from the NFL. So we really don't know what the quarterback situation for the Colts is going to be as we head into 2021. Will they go back to Jacoby Brissett? Will they try to trade for or sign a veteran quarterback in free agency? Will they draft a quarterback? That uncertainty keeps Michael Pittman just a little bit lower than the other two receivers that I'm going to talk about. Still, we saw him flash that tremendous upside that fantasy football players drool over, and that alone is enough to make him a guy you need to target in your 2021 drafts. He was taken with the first pick in the 9th round of our latest mock draft, and I think that is just an absolute value steal pick that you have to make every single time. That could certainly go up as the offseason goes on, and if they make a tremendous quarterback upgrade there in Indianapolis, his ADP is going to shoot up. So if you can get him right now in the 9th round, you have to do it. You know, I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't talk about Gabriel Davis in my first video. I've been talking up Davis all season long, and then when push came to shove and it was time to drop my 5 potential breakout wide receivers, I dropped the ball just like Deontay Johnson. But I'm here to redeem myself. Now, Davis didn't have a ton of hype entering the 2020 NFL Draft, falling to the Bills in the 4th round. But when given the opportunity in 2020, he flashed that upside that makes him a guy you have to be targeting. And we saw, as the season went on, his connection with Josh Allen only grew and grew stronger. From week 12 on, he only had 3 games with less than 68 receiving yards, and he had 4 touchdowns over that span. And from week 9 on, he tied Tyreek Hill and Antonio Brown for the most touchdown receptions of over 20 yards. That's some pretty good company right there. And in the Bills wildcard game, the first big game of Davis's career, he was second on the team with 85 receiving yards. And there were many times during that game when Josh Allen needed somebody to make a play, and he looked Davis's way, and Davis made that play. Davis is absolutely primed to take a leap in 2021. And if you haven't noticed, his quarterback, Josh Allen, he's pretty good. Davis went in the 13th round of our way too early mock draft, and in my opinion, that is absolutely too low. If you get him there, you take him 100 times out of 100. I will be drafting Gabriel Davis in every draft I possibly can, and I think you should too. You know, for as bad as leaving Davis off my list of 5 potential breakout wide receivers, leaving Chase Claypool off was probably worse. I mean, how can I not have Claypool as a second-year breakout when he kind of broke out in year 1? All he did in 2020 was turn 109 targets into 62 catches, 873 yards, and 11 total touchdowns. And with quarterback Ben Roethlisberger saying he wants to return in 2021, and wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster unlikely to return in 2021, there's even more opportunity and chance for Chase Claypool to expand those numbers in 2021. The only downside with Claypool is everybody saw what he did in 2020, and you're going to have to pay a pretty steep price if you want to draft Chase Claypool in 2021. In our most recent mock draft, he went in the 6th round, which I think is fair value. But if Smith-Schuster does indeed leave in free agency, that's probably going to go up, and you're probably going to need to draft him in the 5th, maybe even in the 4th round. Still, Claypool offers massive upside in an offense that wants to pass the ball and is willing to take chances down the field. And they also use him as a runner near the goal line, which only increases his value. And unlike the other receivers I've talked about so far, I think Chase Claypool has a realistic shot to finish inside the top 15 receivers in 2021 for fantasy football. So if you have to pay a 6th round draft value or even a 5th or 4th round value, it's probably going to be worth it. So there you go. 5 more wide receivers poised to break out in 2021. Now I want to hear from you. Who are some potential 2nd-year wide receivers that I haven't talked about that you think will break out in 2021? Let me know down in the comments. I want to hear about it. And if you enjoyed the video or you found it helpful at all, please take a quick second, hit that subscribe button, click that bell notification, give this video a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. And don't forget, check out the other video right here where I talked about the first 5 wide receivers I think will break out in 2021. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.